Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Second and Nod podcast. This is episode number 4. We're back, and full disclosure, Tony D and I didn't coordinate our outfits before the podcast, yeah, I noticed that before. It doesn't necessarily look the best, but we're back, and
we look like a team.
Huh?
We look like a team.
Yeah. Well, I don't have the hat. I like that hat, actually.
Thank you.
Complimented before, but there's a lot that's been going on in the NFL, and we just got word about like an hour ago the Odell trade. So, Flying Dutchman, how are you feeling over there about this Odell trade? Are you really hurt that much that you're going to have to return that jersey that you got?
My wife actually asked me if did I wash it yet, and had I worn it, and I said every other Beckham purchaser will be trying to do the same thing, so we're sort of out of luck on that one. So yeah, we're stuck with it, and my son has a Beckham jersey, so now I'm gonna have to try to see if I could turn the 13 into whatever it is, 26 or whatever it is. What's Barkley? 26?
You can just double it, right? You just
26.
Exactly, just double it.
If you sew them together, you think it'll be 26?
It might actually work.
I think you have to cut the number in half. Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's how it works.
Yeah. But I honestly, I'm not totally surprised that happened. I am surprised, but not completely shocked.
I'm totally surprised. I was going on. People on Facebook were like putting, those NFL sites where people were posting about Odell trade rumors. I'm just like, it's going to cost them $16 million to trade him. They're not going to pay Odell $16 million to play against them. I was arguing with a lot of different people about this. They're paying Odell $16 million to play for the Browns.
Yeah, it's interesting from that, looking at it from that standpoint. But just overall, it looks like they're just going full rebuild mode, which is
do it 7 months ago though.
Yeah, I mean, well, maybe more longer than that. Like probably maybe a couple of years ago.
Yeah, they just re-signed him. No big deal.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, but they basically bought a first round pick. We're forgetting that they actually got something. If they tried to trade him when he wasn't on a deal, they would have gotten like a 4th or 5th round pick, even if they did it in season. So they got a first and third rounder. And I mean, I don't know how you guys feel about Jabril Peppers. They obviously feel now they've got both safeties. So they went from having no safeties to 2 safeties. So.
Yeah, I think he's a safety that he's got a lot of like raw talent. He's just kind of needs to be the coach the right way. I think we disagreed when he first came out of college. I wanted him. Yeah, he's a freak athlete.
He's a top 5, physical talent. But I mean, he doesn't always put it together. But he's got a chance. The picks are interesting because going forward, I mean, that's a 5-year, first round pick, 17th overall. It's a 5-year contract. You're going to get that player. So you're going to be, having a player for a long time. Odell was under contract for a while too, but then you also have a 3rd round pick as well, which is a 4-year contract at a cheap price as well, and a player also. So it's not terrible from that perspective, but it still doesn't make a lot of sense to give him all that money and then take all that cap hits. But
I would have been happy if it was the 1st and 2nd round. I mean, I feel like there was a way they could have gotten a 2nd round out of that, because if you think about it, they've got 3 big holes. They've got quarterback. They needed somebody to rush the quarterback, and they really do need offensive linemen. And yeah, they can fill that in free agency, but I don't know. I just feel like they keep doing that and missing. So
their O-line's not gonna be that bad though. They got pieces now. They traded for Zeitler. They have a
but they need a right tackle.
It's too late for this. Like to make these decisions now as under like quote unquote rebuild mode. You can't do that after you just passed up quarterbacks. Like, I know how high you are on Darnold. I am not necessarily as high. I was higher on Rosen, but for them to pass up quarterbacks, yeah, he's always making that face.
Rosen's available.
Rosen is Eli 2.0.
You guys just got an extra 3rd round pick. Go get Rosen. Supposedly that's what
I would. I would love that, because I would still give Rosen a chance. I think that he was in.
That'd be if they did that. If they did that, and then they went and got a defensive end with the other pick. Then that's interesting.
Yeah, I'd be perfectly happy with that, especially since they got another solid offensive lineman, and that's another trade that we need to talk about a little bit. Them getting rid of Vernon, he obviously was getting paid a lot of money, but with Zeitler, I mean, it helps to shore up the offensive line a little bit more, and so hopefully maybe for Saquon obviously, but I think with the prospects of getting a guy like Rosen or maybe drafting a quarterback this year,
would you trade up? Would you use all this extra draft capital?
I don't want these quarterbacks in this draft personally. No. I think they're like too much of a risk.
I think they are a risk, but they're they look like 2 good ones in there.
Well, all those clips that you sent me on Twitter, all those Haskins highlights, I was telling Dutchman earlier, I didn't necessarily like what I saw. I thought that he wasn't very accurate. He does have a pretty big arm, but
it was mostly down the field stuff, pretty open receivers.
Yeah, and that's the problem a lot of the times with the college quarterbacks. It's kind of hard to.
It's hard to
that's one of the toughest positions to evaluate because guys are so open all the time.
Do you actually think the third round is what it is? Because if you think about it, yes, they might have given up OBJ, but that's four first-round picks in 2 years. That's pretty impressive to be able to have all that draft capital and be able to fill your quarterback, and your running back, and potentially 2 other key positions.
But my point would be, why not franchise Odell last year and then look to trade him last year?
You wouldn't have gotten a first round.
How do you know? How do you know? For someone who wanted him, for someone who wanted to, make
nobody as dumb as the Cowboys to give up a first rounder for a wide receiver. Come on.
Someone just did right now.
I know. Yeah, that's OBJ.
We'll get into a controversial comment that this jackass said the other day about a wide receiver that the Cowboys should get.
Which one?
We'll get into that. I want to surprise you a little bit. I want to see how you react live on air.
Oh.
But what else did we think about the Collins, them just letting go of Collins? This was just a complete debacle in my opinion, because the fact that they don't get anything for him and they let him walk, and I understand they weren't necessarily going to pay him that, but they could have got him for a lot less if they would have signed him to a.
Yeah, but they were offered a first-round pick last year, and they were completely out of contention. So I agree. If that's true that they really were offered a first-round pick mid-season, I don't know why they didn't do it.
Yeah, they should.
Or it didn't necessarily have to be last year. It could have been a couple years ago. That's the type of relationships that good organizations have. Like when they have good relationships with good players, they want to lock them up for the future, and they want to show them that they're valued, and they want those specific players to lead their teams. And Landon Collins, I thought, my impression that he was one of those guys, especially leading that defense. He was probably the most impactful player that they had on the defense, and they had other guys.
But he doesn't fit Betcher's model. Betcher doesn't, like we talked about earlier today. He doesn't, want a safety in the box. He might want to say might want to rush with a safety because he likes to send a lot of different blitz packages. But at the end of the day, he wants to really have 2 middle linebackers that are covering that space, and really wants more free safeties, in my opinion. 2 free safeties.
You need a strong safety. I think the Gettleman argument would be you can get a strong safety in the draft, in the middle rounds. You could find that guy. You could find a guy to do that job. Whereas a cover safety is a little bit more difficult. That Earl Thomas type is a little bit more difficult to find. They're not necessarily going to get nothing for him. They're going to get a compensatory pick. I still do think they should have kept him for this year because it's only $12 million and it's 1 year, and you can.
Yeah, but you don't know. He could have pulled because think about it. People have been praising Le'Veon Bell. Even though it's stupid, $18 million to piss away.
But it's a situation, though. A running back is a completely different situation because as a pass rusher, like Demarcus Lawrence was threatening the same kind of thing with the Cowboys. He's not going to play for the $20 million. But as a pass rusher, if you're an elite pass rusher, you're going to get paid. You want to get paid that $20 million right now. As a running back, you have only a certain amount of years that you're going to be a viable starter. So at 30, you're already on the back end of your career. That year off of wear and tear in your body makes all the world of difference to a running back. Whereas as a defensive lineman or a safety, it doesn't really make as much of a difference. You want to strike while the iron's hot before you get too old and you can't do it anymore. Running backs are going to be able to do it until they're 32, 33 regardless.
Yeah, and let's be honest, Landon Collins doesn't have the same type of clout that Le'Veon Bell does because Le'Veon Bell's a surefire superstar.
He's a top 5 player in the NFL.
Collins has played well, and he's been a Pro Bowler in his career, but he has been a little inconsistent in times in coverage. So you can't look at him the same.
I said that too when they drafted him. That he was a strong safety.
Yeah. No, I remember there were questions about that, but I thought it was a good pick for a second-round pick.
Still a good player.
Yeah, I think he's done a good job, but
just teams value it differently.
What about so Antoine Bethea is the replacement that they're bringing in safety. Yeah, he's a pretty good coverage guy, but my gripe is that he's 34 years old, and if they're going to
but he's had his 2 best years, even though his years as being all over the place with the Colts. I was reading up on it earlier today, and they said that this past year, 2018, he had 108 tackles, the most in his career. The year before that, he was ranked number 5 from a safety perspective by Pro Football Focus. So he's all of a sudden hit this stride, and the Giants are probably paying for 2 years where he sucks, but if he's just a free safety and he knows how to play within Betcher's system, Betcher seems to really want guys who know his system.
They didn't pay that much for him, did they?
I still haven't seen the number, to be honest with you.
I'm gonna pull it up right now. Oh no, it's a 2-year contract, but it does not say It does not say the
Yeah, I hadn't seen what it was.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure. It's only a 2-year contract lease, so you're not gonna, like you said, that part's not going to be a big deal. They're not going to pay him for long term. I think they're just looking for someone who's going to be competent back there and be able to play for the next year or two. The Giants,
that's been our issue.
They're not going to be competitive this year is what I'm getting at, though. Like, they're not going to really be competitive this year. Get someone who's not going to embarrass you. Get someone who's competent and who could fill the need at a lower price than, let's say, Collins or, some of the other options. And, maybe you guys end up towards the top of the draft next year, and you could maybe get Tui.
What was the last time we had a competent free safety? Think about it. Like, other than Landon Collins back there, we've just had this carousel of players rolling around.
Who was the last good safety the Giants had? Really good safety? Didn't Jason Sehorn move to safety?
Yeah, Jason Sehorn was the last one. That was like 14 years ago.
He moved to safety late in his career, right?
Yeah, it's been a long time now.
Yeah, I mean, Collins was a good player, though.
No, but I'm saying other than Collins, who else did they have back there?
No, I agree. They haven't. And even linebacker, besides, what's his name, number 58? I forget. I'm blanking out his name.
Ogletree?
No, the guy who won the Super Bowl with you guys.
Antonio
Pierce.
Antonio Pierce.
Besides Antonio Pierce, he doesn't have really great linebackers.
Pearson.
Antonio Pierce.
No, Pierce.
I just bought a car from him, so Did I tell you guys that?
Did you really?
Antonio Pierce, really?
Yeah, he's got him and Jesse Armstead have a car dealership. They were like, "Do you want him to sign the car?" I was like, "No."
Jesse Armstead, that's crazy.
Jesse Armstead.
It reminds me of like my old football cards. Just could see the.
I guess we ran out of Giants talk since we're going to the car dealership. But before we leave the Giants conversation, we
didn't really unpack the Odell Beckham. I think we got to talk a little bit more about that. That's a little ridiculous. We really sort of scooted through that.
The trade is obviously up in your feelings, so I will throw it over to you, and
I'm just saying. What do you guys think? What? Sterling Shepard is now the wide receiver 1. Well, I'm not really confident about that.
You have the 17th overall pick, and again, the Giants are not looking to compete really this year.
If they're in full rebuild mode, I mean, they're going to have time to draft other guys and try and find another receiver. AJ Green's going to be a free agent next year.
And Giants have over $100 million in cap space next year. They're going to be in the Jets and the Colts position next year. But,
at this, I say
it's dangerous too. You don't want to overpay.
Yeah, they try and get into a position where they can get a young quarterback like Rosen, obviously. And then you can sign a guy like AJ Green next year.
Yeah, I just think
as much of a head case in the locker room.
They had 2 guys on their team that are potentially Hall of Famers, and then if they bring in a quarterback, then they're basically the Cowboys of the '90s. Three guys, Hall of Famers. What are you laughing at?
This guy's a real homer right here.
Who, me? Oh, the other guy. Oh, okay. Because you're usually saying that, looking at me.
Yeah,
so but seriously, Odell Beckham Jr. Can you argue that if he had continued on his pace? He had broken so many records, right? So he was potentially everyone says Saquon Barkley is literally going to be a gold jacket guy. I'm not saying our quarterback, I don't even know who he is, right? Is he going to be a Hall of Famer? But the point is, it seemed like the makings of it.
Having triplets doesn't make you a good team. I mean, the Cowboys in the '90s had the best offensive line in football. That's why they were really good. And they had a good defense too. The Cowboys defenses were really underrated, and Troy Aikman was a little bit overrated. Does that make you happy?
Oh, you're looking at me this time.
Yeah, because that makes you happy.
You guys had that guy Charles Haley too. You want to bring up stories about him?
Got a signed helmet right there.
Yeah, the whole story we won't get into. But do you have any other closing comments?
No, I want to ask, like, what do you think that the roster is going to look like on the wide receiver? Do you think Corey Coleman all of a sudden is going to be the deep threat and Sterling Shepard?
I think DK Metcalf.
I mean, that's a possibility. I know you mentioned that earlier, but I don't think that they're going to be good next year. So it's Sterling Shepard might be their number 1. They'll have to get Evan Engram, like give him a bigger role in the offense where he's not blocking as much and he's running out like more as a
interesting fantasy option.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like he has been for the last couple of years.
But they just have to go to him a lot more.
They have to at this point.
Remember when Odell was out for that stretch of games? Yeah. He was going off.
Yeah, no, he's a really talented player. He can move for a big guy. He got really good hands. So I'm not that worried about that. I'm worried about them taking advantage of their high draft picks and not missing on as many picks as they have in like recent years. Because at the end of the day, you can't build a team for the future with guys under control for a significant amount of time under controllable salaries. To be able to build a team.
And you got to draft. That's how you do it. You draft.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. The only way to do that is by drafting well.
We were talking about how I was looking through preparing a little bit for this podcast. I was looking through the free agency list and who went where, and I was kind of feeling a little bit bad about the Cowboys situation, having only franchised DeMarcus Lawrence and signed re-signed Witten. And I'm scrolling through and I see the Patriots, 0 moves. They haven't signed anybody. I knocked my mic down.
Yeah, no, it's I mean, the Patriots, I feel like are just they're playing a different game than everybody else. They're ahead of the ball. They're not,
you don't necessarily want to be involved with these huge high-priced contracts because you end up overpaying these guys. At the end of the day, they're setting the market every time. They're not
their owner's in jail right now, so I think they're concerned about that.
Robert Kraft. Is he really in jail?
No, he's not in jail. Of course, he's a billionaire. You think he's in jail? He's a billionaire. He doesn't go to jail.
Didn't Trump pose for pictures with that owner of that massage parlor? That's what
How far are we into the podcast that he's already going into political stuff? All right. But yeah, I think point taken, but I'm not like too upset about it. I liked Odell as from like a talent standpoint. I thought he was a little bit of a head case, and he's definitely a guy
beast, though. Come on.
He is a beast, but I think he's not irreplaceable. I think that's a position that they can find other talent, and if they can swap it out, gets a pass rusher, they can get a good offensive lineman in return, then I think it's worth it. We'll see how Peppers does.
Yes, Giants,
but the number one draft pick, number 3. I don't want Des Bryant, but that's a good segue though. It's a good segue because one other thing that I wanted to bring up was we had a conversation the other day, and we'll get into like the Cowboys and their moves or lack of moves this offseason so far. But I guess I'll throw out the Cowboy players getting into trouble again, Irving and Gregory and the suspensions. I thought that was kind of funny. I was laughing at him when I saw that. I think they both happened the same day too when it came out.
Yeah, you saw. You saw what David Irving did?
No, what did he do?
He went on Instagram Live. He smoked a blunt. And he was saying for the NFL, he quits the NFL.
Oh, yeah.
The NFL to call him when they legalize weed or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, that's a conversation for another day. Because
what I was saying about, because you always like to have, try to spin this narrative of the Cowboys picking up bad character guys. And I argue that the Cowboys have a tremendous amount of good character guys, from the Sean Lees, the Leighton Vander Esch's, Jalen Smith of the world, that are actually Dak Prescott. The leaders of their team, the key players are those kind of people. But I don't think there's anything wrong with taking risks on players. I think every team does it. I think every team should do it because you can have one or two. You can't have a team full of them. You can't have a team full of 15, 16 character guys. I mean, they're going to take over your locker room. But, one or two of them is not a big deal. And if you lose them, it's the risk you take. It's, the investment's not always the highest either. We plucked David Irving from the Chiefs practice squad. It's not like we invested big money in them either. So
yeah, but they are pretty good players and contributors.
Yeah,
I had to take a little bit of a dip.
It doesn't help the team. I mean,
yeah, no, it definitely doesn't help the team. We'll see. I don't think the defense is in much trouble without those guys anyway. I think they're pretty solid. Vander Esch is looking like he's turning into an eventual superstar. So they've got bigger problems, I think, on the offensive side with Dak.
Yeah.
And with their wide receiver situation, which is what I wanted to bring up. So they obviously signed Witten. I don't see it really being like that important of a signing. I mean, I think he's more of a locker room guy than like what his like numbers are going to be on the field. I don't think he's going to be contributing.
I think he'll make some big plays, which that helps too.
I mean,
I don't think he's going to
find big plays because
third and 3.
Okay.
3rd and 3. It's a big play.
As long as you clarify it like that, because I mean, him being in the booth for as slow that he looked his last year that he played, taking a year off and then going back to play. I mean, I can't expect him to do much.
He sounded even slower in the booth.
Well, that too. he was slower in the booth than he was on the field when he played the year before.
But honestly, that's why I'm not too worried about Witten, because at the end of the day, Witten never had speed. So it's not like you cannot lose what you didn't have. He does it with kind of smoke and mirrors. So
yeah, but the comment that I wanted to call you out on was Dustin. We had a debate the other day, and I had said
we should resign Beasley.
I said that they should re-sign Beasley, and you said no. I think it'd be better off if we re-sign Dez, which I thought made zero sense. Now Beasley has signed for the Bills today, and they did pay him. They did pay him a decent amount, but I just don't understand where your reasoning is coming from. So I want to throw it back to you.
It's going to be a lot cheaper. It's going to be a lot cheaper.
Yeah, but from a contribution standpoint, like on the fields, and then hit the locker room standpoint with the whole calling like Sean Lee a snake, like, do you actually think that would be a good thing? Is he going to contribute enough on the field?
Man. Sean Lee's a grown-ass man. And, I mean, it's also when Dez got cut and if he comes back, the expectations, everything's going to change. He's going to be under a different salary. He's not going to be under a number one receiver salary anymore. They have a number one receiver. They have Amari Cooper now. I don't think it would be a bad move for the Cowboys to bring him back. Apparently,
they have like a wide receiver 2.
Really?
I mean, I don't think Amari Cooper is considered a wide receiver 1. I mean, I know he was drafted that way, and I know he stepped it up for the Cowboys, but I don't think over the long-term haul and even longevity, I don't think he's going to be a, wide receiver 1. Like you talk about in fantasy. I know we don't want to go to fantasy, but
I disagree. He's 24 years old too. He's a good route runner. He's big. He's fast. He's strong. I mean,
let's just say
a lot of good things.
Let's just say, for the sake of argument, he is. Dez isn't a number 2. Dez wasn't even a number 2 when you guys let him go, and then
Michael Gallup.
Huh?
Michael Gallup. Yeah, it's a number 2.
Yeah, Michael Gallup. Yeah, okay. He's
I just want Dez.
You need to see more from Gallup. What did Gallup put up this year? How many yards?
Let me see.
While you're looking that up, Dez wasn't any good the last time that he played.
450 or something.
Yeah, but he's a rookie too.
I know.
And he's not in a high.
Yeah, but he put up 450 on a team that didn't have Amari Cooper for most of the year. Cole Beasley wasn't putting up yards, so the yards had to come from somewhere. So you figure he'd be the one that they.
Yeah, but he also didn't really play a lot till later in the year either. He had 500 yards, 33 catches in his rookie year.
2 touchdowns. Damn. Not bad.
I mean, I'm being honest. I think Sterling Shepard is a wide receiver 3. I don't think he's a 2. That's my honest opinion.
I don't think so.
I won't disagree with you there. I think he had talent-wise, he's good enough to become a 2, but
he's a 2 in my opinion.
Yeah, it's kind of he's got to put up the numbers. You got to be able to get the respect. You got to be able to show it on the field, and he hasn't put the numbers up. Same with Evan Ingram. I think Evan Ingram has potential, like talent-wise, to be a top 3 tight end in the league, but you got to put the numbers up at the end of the day.
Shepard had 6 catches for 872 yards last year. It's not bad.
Yeah, like next year he should be.
Yeah, but Beckham was out for 4 games, so he became the default wide receiver 1.
Yeah, but the year before he had 59. The year before he had 66. So it's not like. He put up 680, 730, 870.
Yeah, but when I think of wide receiver 1, I usually think
I'm not saying
touchdowns.
I'm not saying he's a touchdown. He's a 1, but
oh yeah, we were arguing 2 versus 3, but
yeah, 2. Yeah.
But do you think that Evan Ingram? And sorry, I'm taking over this podcast.
No, you're not.
What's called Metcalf? Do you think he is too similar to Evan Ingram? I mean, he's big guy who can run fast. I know he's not a tight end, but that's a big guy who can run fast is Evan Ingram. They're very similar. Would that be a problem, or would that be a dual threat like the Patriots had with the 2 tight ends running down the,
Well, DK's a receiver more, but he's also not a great route runner. So I guess there is some similarity in that regard, but he's definitely a receiver, and whereas, Ingram's a tight end. So they're going to play a different style for sure. I think DK's like a freak athlete who takes the top off a defense, and I don't think he's going to be a great overall receiver immediately because I don't think he's going to be a great route runner, but he's got the physical tools to become a really, really great receiver. I mean, you've seen the way this guy looks? Have you seen?
I mean,
they had him next to the next biggest guy, right? And he was like twice the size of him. He was the next biggest receiver.
Saw his abs though? Like look fake. It looked fake. You just like take
we always get into the physical appearance.
It looked like he had like a bunch of apples on his stomach.
Yeah, I didn't see his abs, but
apples.
I think people were
just balls, bro. Balls of ab muscles. It's crazy. I'm gonna show you right now.
But remember David Boston? He wasn't any good. He was like that. He was like a huge.
Who?
He couldn't even. David Boston. He couldn't even like lift his arms above his head because his biceps were too big.
He had some good years, David Boston.
Yeah, but in regards to like your point, that's kind of ridiculous.
You gotta share the screen now for the audience.
No, yeah, we should. No, we're good.
Yeah, I mean, if you call it out.
The people know what DK Metcalf.
The people know. Okay, the people know.
The people will look it up afterwards.
Yeah, the people have Google.
But to your point, I don't look into that type of thing. If you have certain wide receivers or tight ends that are very similar in skill sets, I think if they're good, then there's no worry there. I think you can have a bunch of the same types of players as long as they're getting open.
I understand the concept. I mean, I don't think you want to have 5 Cole Beasleys on your team either. You don't want to have.
That's a different story. That's what the Buffalo Bills did.
Yeah,
John Brown.
That's what I said to my brother-in-law. I was like, John Brown and Cole Beasley would have been looking for the smallest receiving core in NFL history.
Yeah, no, it's good to have a variety, but I don't think you're necessarily restricted to.
John Brown and Cole Beasley in their defense are 2 very different receivers, even though they're both similar stature. John Brown's like a deep threat, and Beasley's like a work the middle kind of guy. So I mean, they are different.
Yeah, agreed. All right, so let's move on.
What about Corey Coleman though? Is Corey Coleman going to be able to? Is he the next coming of Odell back? Like, did they figure out what the Browns missed on? Because they clearly renewed it. They brought him back again for another year. They like what they saw. and they were making him more prominent towards the end of the year. I'm just throwing it out there. Do they think that there's an opportunity there?
He was a first-round pick. I mean, he's worth a flyer, an investment, but I don't.
Well, they already did the flyer. They brought him back now. So that's what I'm saying. Do you think that they know something we don't?
They didn't sign him to a long-term deal, though. I don't think they're sold on him. They just wanted to bring him in and compete and see if he can, do something.
I agree.
I don't think it's impossible for him to contribute, but I don't see him being taking a number one receiver production or even I don't see him getting more than like 30 catches. Really.
So when I buy, 3 years from now, when I buy a Corey Coleman jersey that I'm going to eventually have to get rid of, just like my Odell Beckham Jr.
I'm sure he'll be off the team the following year.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll remember this conversation.
Yes.
All right, so let's move into some of the other big deals. So the first one I guess we got to start off with is AB. So AB's going to the Raiders. And the funny part about our third episode is that we did Dutchman, you didn't join us that day because you had
he was there that day. I think the day we gave – that was the first one.
He wasn't there that day. That was the third episode. He had some family things to attend to. But what we did on that episode was at the end we talked about like the one main takeaway from the entire 2018 season. Mine was Patrick Mahomes and just how good he ended up being, and that he looks like he's going to take over the league. And I wasn't sure what Tony D's was going to be because he didn't tell me beforehand, and he had some notes for some reason on the Raiders, and I didn't put A and B together. But his main point was that
A and B.
There you go. Look at that segue. But he talked about the Raiders and like all the moves that they made, getting all those draft picks and potentially building a team. So I'm going to throw it back to you. I'll let you start off with how you think this affects the Raiders right now, if you think it'll maybe affect moves that they're going to make in the next couple of years and how they're going to draft.
Well, I mean, it definitely affects how they're going to draft, but also I just think they should go out and get Le'Veon Bell too and just take the Steelers spot. Why not, right?
I mean, that'd be an interesting move. I can possibly see them doing that. It depends on – bring up like what their cap space is right now because I feel like they do have a
They do have a lot, yeah.
Yeah, they do have a lot of cap space.
Close to $100 million as well. Like they were up there with the Jets.
But to pay two skilled players on offense that much money, it's kind of tough. But they are in a situation, like I said.
They only have $33 million.
They have $33 million this year. Okay, next year they're going to have another like $50 million on top of that, though.
84. No, but that actually, this $33 million, and then this is $84 million. It's not. It doesn't remove that. Each year you have a. You know what I'm saying? Like it's accounted for each year. It's not like that's whatever they sign this year is going to roll over to next year. It's going to be the contracts are going to. Well, if they. I get what you're saying. If they continue to sign players, it'll go down, and this will go down as well because it'll be long-term contracts. Is what you're saying? Okay, I get it.
So, but I don't know if I necessarily think that they're going to do that. I think the perfect fit for Le'Veon Bell is to the Jets. I mean, I don't know why the Jets haven't pulled the trigger on it.
They gave him a deadline. They gave him a deadline to accept the offer. He's sitting on it right now.
I kind of would have liked to see them get Mark Ingram. I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing them get Bell. But I think they should get Mark Ingram.
No, Mark Ingram is a typical Jet move is to get some other I don't want to call him a retread, but a guy who was supposed to meet his some level that he really clearly did not for the Saints when they drafted him first overall. He did not meet the need. Yes, he came on. He's strong.
He's a really good player, though. You don't think he's a good player, Lee?
I do, but I'm saying he was drafted as if he was going to perform as a RB1. He's only played as an RB1 maybe once or twice. And it was because, right? I mean, maybe I'm wrong. I mean, he puts up a ton of touchdowns, but he doesn't put up the yardage. And I feel like up until the last couple of years, he didn't even catch the ball. He started catching the ball.
Well, last year he only had 645 yards, but the year before he had 1,100 and 1,000 the year before that. And he had
That's what I'm saying. So I said 2 years, and he's on a 5-year contract as RB1, and he only put up 2 years of 1,000. And again, he puts up a ton of touchdowns, right? Yeah. But I'm just saying, I feel like that's the type of move like Isaiah Crowell. Like, that's just a typical Jets move that they would go out and get somebody like that.
To me, Isaiah Crowell and Mark Ingram are two different animals completely. Isaiah Crowell is not nearly as talented as Mark.
No. I'm not saying they are by any means. He wasn't first. No, but I'm just saying, like, if I were the Jets, like, I want Le'Veon Bell. And then, of course, they go get somebody who's lesser.
But
it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it does matter. $17 million to $7 million. That's $10 million to spend somewhere else. So I mean,
but you get Le'Veon Bell, you're getting a receiver and a runner. It's just it's like you're paying for two people.
And he blocks. But I mean, Ingram can catch the ball too. It's not terrible. Yeah, I just don't think it's worth that level.
I don't think he can be the focal point for 16 weeks. I don't think he can be the focal point of a.
I think he can be the number one running back and do what he needs to do for the Jets. Obviously, he's not going to be Le'Veon Bell because I mean, there's no other really Le'Veon Bell in the league. So.
I mean, I'm leaning on the side of Dutchman. I think he's a solid player, but he's not going to make any sort of like legitimate impact. Le'Veon's the guy that they gotta get, in my opinion. They got to spend the money. They have the cap space to do it. They have a young quarterback that needs someone.
There's no doubt that they're going to be a better team with Le'Veon Bell. It's just not they're going to pay.
But that could also help the progression of Darnold,
of course,
because I mean, if he continues to struggle a lot in his second year and he doesn't have like a guy.
He won't.
All right, well, we'll see. I mean, you're very confident with him, but I don't. I think that's a no-brainer deal where they got to get Le'Veon Bell. I think, to me, Ingram or a guy like Tevin Coleman, that's like the same type of deal. I mean,
but I like Tevin Coleman as well, but I really like Mark Ingram. He's just the way he runs.
You've had him on the last like couple of years in your fantasy team, haven't you?
No, it's just I traded him for him and I had him in one league this year, but I haven't had him before that. Another years.
Okay.
He's a plow though, man. He lowers his head. He's a strong runner. He hits people. I like the way he plays.
He's good, but he's nothing that's I'm gonna like. My jaw's gonna drop.
And he's
like watching.
And he's less than half the cost to Le'Veon.
Yeah.
So.
But let's go back. Let's go back to the
player.
Let's go back to the AP trade. So,
AB.
Right, the AB trade.
AP is still free agent.
Yeah.
The Jets will pick him up. Don't worry about it. That's another Jets pickup.
As a Jet move, that would be I'd be okay with that too. That's fine. Save the money there.
But I don't know how much I see AB vibing in that type of environment, especially with John Gruden and how much of a disciplinarian he seems to be and how he almost kind of clashed a little bit. I don't know if I should say he clashed with Derek Carr, but they look to be like not on the same page.
I don't know if the press made more of that than anything else. I mean, it just seemed like everyone's like, oh, they're not getting along. I never really saw them not getting along.
I didn't really hear that. I didn't even know that was like a thing.
No, the press kept every single time. They're like, oh, there was a lot of articles and stuff about it, but I never actually saw it.
They might not have wanted Carr long term, but I didn't really see that they were not getting along. But I think when you're in a situation, especially when you're in a situation like AB was in with the Steelers and he was there for a really long time, I think when you get a new change of scenery, I think it's just going to do wonders for at least the first. There's going to be a honeymoon period. He's going to have a year or two where things are going to be great. So and then after that, they're also going to be moving to Vegas. So I mean, I think AB will be the center of attention, to which he'll love.
I don't know. I think he thinks that it's all unicorns and rainbows. Like I think the grass is greener.
He seems a little crazy.
Oh, he does. But we also remember
his haircut. Of course, he's crazy. Come on.
Look at his mustache.
I saw he was doing this thing where.
Oh yeah, the blonde mustache.
That was weird too. I saw he was doing this thing where it was like this website where people pay like up to $500 to get like a personal recording greeted from you. Like it's like famous people go on there and people buy, spend $500 and he'll send you a personal. But he was saying just weird, crazy stuff on those things. I was like watching some of them. I was just like, what the hell is wrong with this guy?
He's a little out there. Yeah, I envision him being more of like a headache than anything, honestly. How disgruntled can you be on a team that pretty much makes the playoffs every single year, except last year? He's got a Hall of Fame quarterback. He doesn't realize how good he had it, and he thinks the grass is greener.
He's a borderline Hall of Fame quarterback.
How are we going to get into that? We're going to get into these arguments.
Why? Because the stats and everything lines up with Eli, and you can't say Eli is a Hall of Famer?
No, I actually think Big Ben's ahead of Eli on that list.
But if you look at their stats, Eli's got better stats.
That's not true.
Yes, he does. He has better counting stats because of the fact that he wasn't injured for all the times and suspensions that he's had. No?
You know what was I got to bring this up right now because I just thought of this. Go ahead, look it up right now. But I just want to bring this up, the conversation we had the other day. We're texting back and forth, and he's doing his typical Eli bashing that he has to do every single day. And I said to him, I gave him an analogy. Let me know what you think about this.
This was a terrible analogy. You I complimented the analogy.
He did compliment it.
Because it made my point, in my opinion. Okay, again.
I said Eli Manning is Robert Horry and Romo is Carmelo Anthony.
It was just a terrible analogy.
But you did compliment the analogy at first.
Yeah, because it was making my point. Because it was a terrible point. It was such a bad point that I complimented the analogy because it made it so easy for me to dunk on that.
No, it wasn't. You were – and then you –
Robert Horry was not a Hall of Fame career player, and neither is Eli. But they're not comparable because Eli was obviously way more of a factor in his team than Robert Horry was.
All right.
I think that you botched that because if you think about it, Carmelo Anthony could be considered a Hall of Famer because of, again, his counting stats.
Oh, yeah, no, and Carmelo will be. It was in hindsight, a bad analogy. That was one I thought of on the fly that I thought I could get his goat by saying that Romo was like Carmelo, but he was happy that I said that I made that comparison that Romo was like Carmelo. I'm like, that's not a compliment for Romo.
All right, so Big Ben's got a 64% completion percentage. Yeah,
no. I said counting stats. I didn't say percentages. But counting stats. I want yards and touchdowns.
Okay, Big Ben has a little bit more yards.
And what about touchdowns?
Big Ben has 3 more touchdowns.
So the same freaking player.
Way better win-loss record, better completion percentage.
Who has more Super Bowls? Oh, wait, they have the same amount. How many?
He's got 50 less interceptions than Eli.
How many Super Bowls do they each have?
2 each.
Big Ben has also had better weapons than Eli in his career. I mean Eli's had Odell.
I'm not debating that. He's saying that Eli has better stats, and I'm saying no, he does not.
Well, Dutchman is a biased fan, so
I know.
Really
but I'm just saying.
To talk about that.
I remember seeing a stat that it matched the 3 of them up: Rivers, Eli, and Roethlisberger, and it had Eli edging them all out. It was at midseason, so again, 3 touchdowns more. Well, clearly Eli wasn't playing well, so he passed them there. But I mean, yards. You say couple. How many more yards?
Say about 1,000, I think.
1,000 yards more.
So again, midseason,
not even. Literally a couple hundred.
A couple hundred.
That's what I'm saying. Mid-season, it had Eli edging them both.
That's not the point. His averages are better.
Yeah, but you just said Roethlisberger's a Hall of Famer, and I said Eli's the same player, and they are the same player.
What's the completion? I want to see the quarterback rating. His is 94 quarterback rating, which is very important. Eli's career quarterback rating is 84.
Those are the biggest stats, the records.
The records are Eli's about 500, and Big Ben's 144.
How many sacks do they each have?
I mean, that's
all right.
Exactly, because it doesn't matter. Their defense is what helps them win games.
Actually, Big Ben's been sacked 100 more times.
No, I meant actual sacks on defense, like as if they went and got sacks. I was being sarcastic, but either way.
But the point is, Big Ben's got better averages. He's got the same amount of Super Bowls. He's got better win-loss record. He's got better completion percentage. I was interested in the yards per attempt because that's pretty telling too of how good a quarterback is. I'm not sure where.
I'm just saying, at the end of the day, they're very similar players. So for you to say one of them is a fringe Hall of Famer and the other one's not even close, it's
quarterback rating of 94 to 84 is
a big difference. Let's talk sabermetrics.
What's that mean? Even is this baseball?
No. Let's move on. I think the Big Ben is a better player than Eli. I don't think it's by a significant amount, but I think from but
they're both borderline, in my opinion. They're both borderline, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think they'll both get in.
So we just had an argument for no reason. Great.
Well, you guys just like to argue and hear yourselves talk. So let's move on to the Jets.
Coming from you?
All right, so the Jets, the debate is out still with if they're going to get Le'Veon Bell, but they have made a few good signings. Jamison Crowder, Assembly, the offensive lineman. C.J. Mosley they just got today. The Anthony Barr deal just fell through.
What about the C.J. Mosley? They were bashing any team that was considering him because they felt like he was on the downswing.
Really?
I was listening on the Fan yesterday. Really? And it was before the Jets got him. And I was sort of like surprised because I thought he was the hot commodity that a lot of the teams were after.
I really like him a lot. I wanted that for the Jets really badly. For their style defense, he's a really big punishing linebacker.
Are you like a closet Jets fan? It's like the second time you're like, I really wanted that guy for the Jets. I'm like,
I'm invested right now in the Jets having a much better record than.
Oh, I forgot the little bet. Yeah, I got you.
Plus, I want to see Darnold pan out, and I want to see Rosen look like shit.
I really hope Rosen comes to the Giants. The two you can go back and forth.
Me too. I would love that. I would love that.
But let me put you on the spot then right now. You gave me 4.5 games this year.
I'm not giving you 4.5. That's too much. I
mean, for the record, for our audience, he did say this before. He was. I was
busting your balls because I knew the wound was fresh with Odell. I wanted to really get after you.
And so, how many games would you give me?
I mean, I'd consider 2.5. I mean, let me see.
You had 2.5 before Odell. Now it has to change.
It was 1.5 originally.
The other day he had the Jets
1.5 originally. I went to 2, and I'll go another half a game for you if you really think that the New York Jets, who are drafting 3rd overall in this year's draft, if you think they're that much better than the Giants, I'll go to 2.5.
You think that though?
You clearly don't. Then give
it. I'm not that high on the Giants. I learned my lesson from this past season with our calls that we made that I said the Giants were going to be better than the Cowboys. the Giants did not get it together. I thought that they'd get it together on the offensive line and figure it out. But
yeah, we didn't know the Cowboys defense was going to play the way it did. The Cowboys defense came out of nowhere.
I didn't know that either. I didn't think the Cowboys were going to be as good as they were. It surprised me too. But I had a feeling that the Giants were more or less. I thought they could be a few games better actually, and they could have been. I mean, a field goal and
they should have 3 extra wins. They could have had at least 3 extra wins, if not 5. They had the most games I think of any team that was decided within like 3 points.
I understand where you're coming from with that, but that's really hard to hear as a fan of it because every single team could have 2 or 3, 4 wins. Like it's just a play here, a fumble there. That's just the way that
it was like 7 games that were decided for under 5
Carolina
points or something.
the Carolina game was unbelievable. I mean,
that was ridiculous.
It was unbelievable.
But, well, I mean, the year that the Giants, what did they win, 11 games with the whole boat trip, like before the Green Bay game? Yeah. They had several games that year that they won close. That the years before.
That won't happen again now that Odell's gone. No more boat trips.
Yeah, we'll see. Hopefully, he didn't teach the Shepard and the other guys his ways.
You're talking about the Cowboys locker room. Their locker room has been a shit show for 3 years.
Yeah.
It's been a shit show.
Yeah.
I think they're going to clean it up.
But they've cleaned up a lot.
That's what they're working at. That's what we're working on right now, I think.
Yeah. But then let's go back to the Jets, though. What is your outlook on their season this year, like in the short term? I mean, these are big signings, and if they sign a guy like Le'Veon Bell, I mean, they could be a decent team. Yeah. They're going to need, obviously, Darnold to progress a little bit more because I still think last year he is that guy that – who did you make a comparison to him before? You said he was a poor man's Darnold. I made a comparison.
He's a poor man Rodgers. He's a poor man's Rodgers.
See, that's going way too far.
It's a poor man's Rodgers.
I made a comparison.
We will see.
I made a comparison in the past that I thought Darnold, just from the eye test, he looks like a very poor man's Brett Favre. He's kind of reckless. He takes chances. He's got a good arm. He can move around a little bit and throw on the run.
He moves way better than Favre. He's more like a Rodgers the way he runs around scrambles. He's got a hell of a strong arm, and he's smart. He's a good player. I like him a lot. He's way better than the Giants. My whole point to you is going to be you're going to be one day you're going to apologize, and it's going to be such common knowledge to have taken Sam Darnold over Saquon Barkley. As good as Saquon is, it's going to be such common knowledge. You're going to finally have to admit it one day.
The Jets aren't going to win a Super Bowl, so it really doesn't matter. And who would we rather watch play? Saquon Barkley. This wouldn't.
You want to watch the guy who's going to make your team as good as possible. That's who I think you'd want to watch.
Well, this is true, but at the end of the day, if somehow they do get Rosen for a 3rd-round pick, that means they got 2 guys that they wanted. Like, think about that.
Okay, how about this? No, I'm not saying that's wonderful. That's wonderful, huh? That's trade for Rosen for a 3rd-round pick. I mean, you could have had Sam Darnold, and you could have signed Le'Veon Bell with that Eli money. Eli Manning, you cut him right now, you make you save $17 million. You sign Le'Veon Bell with that $17 million, and you roll with Bell and Darnold. I mean, it's not better than Saquon and nobody, or Saquon and Eli.
I mean, that's I mean, that's with the idea that Darnold's going to be good. I didn't really have that outlook. I thought, how I feel. I thought Rosen was the guy that take.
I told you that's why you brought me here.
Yeah, I mean, that's just your opinions keep slipping more and more each time, though. Because
I'm busting your balls a lot of this. A lot of this is just me busting your balls. So it's fine.
This is a serious podcast. We talk about like serious business here, serious opinions. So you're gonna be helped with this.
This is coming from the troll of all trolls, Dutchman. Can you believe this?
I have been a troll lately. I'm not gonna lie.
Lately? What, like your life? Your entire life?
Okay.
Lifer troller.
His name is Yogi Troll on Twitter. I mean, what more?
I think the Yogi's name is just funny. Yeah, I mean, the Jets, I can't really see them winning more than 8 games next year. I think that they'll be improved.
I think that's their floor.
You think that that's their floor? I mean,
8 games is their floor?
Yeah. I would bet you on that.
I think they're going to win 8 games.
Who's their running back right now?
They have $100 million.
The Crow.
They'll find a running back.
They don't still have $100 million, right?
I mean, they still have a ton of money. They just spend a lot, yeah. But they still, if they have money.
How much do they spend?
And what they got, like 70? What do the Giants have? 26?
No, I'm just asking.
Let's make a bet. 20. I'll bet you $20.
But they don't need to win at least 8 games.
I got under 8 games. 8 games is a push. They gotta win over 8 games.
Wow. Okay. I should win with 8, but okay. That's fine.
Wait. So as of right now, who are their true skill position players?
Their slot is going to be Jamison Crowder. Their outside receivers are Robbie Anderson, Quincy Enunwa. They're going to have.
So I would argue that right now,
the worst. The worst wide receivers in the league.
That's what I'm saying. Like right now, their wide receiver core is garbage. They don't have a running back yet. Yes, they have the money, so we have to see how it all pans out. But as a young quarterback, I would not be excited. I'd be Baker Mayfield right now. He's got a video game team right now. It's a little ridiculous.
Hey, dude,
Baker Mayfield's got a great team. I'm not saying it's not big.
They're getting Mark Ingram. They're gonna win 12 games.
Mark Ingram's already signed with the Ravens.
Oh, he did?
Oh, he already signed.
That's what I'm saying. He got, I think, $6 or $7 million, and Le'Veon's gonna get almost $17 million. It's like $10 more million.
Totally worth it. Totally worth it.
I think it's worth it for a situation with Darnold. I think maybe in a different situation, you take Ingram, but I think it's worth it for the development of Darnold.
If you're a 12-year-old that doesn't want to play Fortnite and wants to play some Madden, you definitely want to be throwing the Le'Veon Bell and have him in your backfield than Ingram. Right there, that's the decision maker. We should just have 12-year-olds run the league.
We're not letting Madden determine our moves. It's like
Chris Johnson rushes. I'll just do a toss.
It's like I go on Fantrax. It's like I go on Fantrax.com and I'm looking at these prices. I'm trying to get the best value possible for my fantasy team league.
Look at that little ad for Fantrax right there.
He just doesn't want to. He doesn't want to bring up any topics about Madden because he has nightmares still about what used to happen back in the day.
This kid is literally lives in a fantasy world of his own doing. I swear to God, it's crazy. It really is insane.
I used to do it to him with the Redskins.
He doesn't know. He doesn't know.
All right, let's move on from the Jets though. Let's wrap this up soon. There's a bunch of other moves that have been signings that have been made in the last few weeks. So I'm gonna throw a few of them out there. Deshaun Jackson being traded and going back.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Don't you find that ridiculous? Didn't he leave because he was a cancer? They literally got rid of him because he was a cancer.
That's what I was telling about AB, though. It doesn't matter. All this
But he left because he's a cancer, not because they were like, you know what, forget about his production. Now all of a sudden, 3 years older with less production, let's bring him back. It makes no sense.
Well, he's older, probably more.
But wasn't that the Chip Kelly era?
Different team. It's a different.
Completely different team, and also I heard that he rubbed a lot of players the wrong way, and they basically have cleaned house with everybody.
You think he doesn't? He's just like that kind of personality. He's just gonna be what it is.
Well,
he's a lieutenant type coach. He's I mean, he was used to coaching college kids, so it's a definitely different dynamic. If you can't adjust to coaching professionals, coaching guys like AB who are completely full of themselves, you have to deal with them a way different way. And if you rub them the wrong way, you could lose the locker room quick. And I mean, that's what happened. I mean, they were good that first year with him, but after that, once he lost the locker room, they were done for. And then everyone caught up to his play calling.
Though everyone talks so much crap about Chip Kelly, he didn't leave the Eagles in bad position. But the players he was picking, and I know Rosen, what's his name, the GM for them, Howie Roseman, is that his name? I know he's been there the whole time, but I'm pretty sure. Yeah, Howie Roseman, right? That's the GM of the?
No, Howie Roseman's isn't he the radio announcer for the Mets?
What's the GM? Yeah, you're right.
That's Howie Rose.
Howie Rose, yeah.
GM for Philly.
But just to comment on the Deshaun Jackson deal, I thought it was I'm fine with it from an Eagles standpoint. I thought that was a good deal. I think he obviously can still run, and he's still a deep.
That's the kind of player we need. The Cowboys need that kind of guy.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. Dak can't throw downfield.
I feel like that's what Dak does best. Just a deep a bomb. That's his best throw pretty much right now.
What are you watching?
I watch every single Cowboy game multiple times, bro. You're really gonna tell?
Dutchman, back me up on this.
How many Cowboys games did you watch this year, bro? Honestly,
I watched enough of Dak to know that he can't throw downfield. Bro. We've seen it how many times?
He can't throw anywhere, really. I mean, what the?
That's true.
But then how is Deshaun Jackson a good?
Because his one of his better throws is deeper throws, and he has missed some, but he hit a bunch of them this year too. He did hit a bunch of them, and they throw a lot.
I mean, I don't agree.
He needs that kind of player. Dak's got a pretty big arm. He just doesn't. He's not the most accurate player, but he could throw. He can get it out there.
His ball wobbles worse than mine does, and you've seen me throw a football.
Just stop it. He's at a better completion percentage than Eli Manning for his career.
Yeah, he throws 10 passes a game.
That's true.
That's insane to even say.
He's got 18. He throws about 18 to 23 passes a game, while every other quarterback in the league does 35 to 45.
Bro, are you guys in total denial with the Giants?
No, I want you to look it up right now. Show me how many pass attempts he has by game while Ray switches the topic.
Yeah, thank you. The last couple signings that I thought were noteworthy. I don't know how noteworthy this is, but I think it's funny that Frank Gore is still finding a way to play in the NFL, where he got signed by the Bills the other day.
Are you questioning that? Why do they have LaShawn McCoy? Are they living in early 2000s?
It's like my fantasy.
I'm not questioning that. I think Frank Gore is still a competent running back, and you could have him as a backup.
But why would you have him and LaShawn McCoy? So, like, what are they doing there?
Because they'll be healthy together for all the games almost. Close to it.
Yes.
One of them or the other.
No, I think Frank Gore is a valuable player to have on any team. I don't think it really matters on what team he's on. He's good enough to play as a backup on anybody and spell a workhorse running back. But what about Dustin? How do you feel about that Foles deal to the Jags?
Dak averages 30 attempts per game, Lee. 30 passing attempts per game. 1,475 for his career, divided by 3 years. He played all 16 games.
I just wanted to look at the last season to see. I don't want your messing with the numbers by giving me an average. Just tell me what his last 3 games. How many times he threw?
Last 3 games. I'm looking at. I mean, I figured the most accurate thing to give you would be his entire career numbers. You're making this accusation.
I'm in digital sales. I literally skew numbers so that we can make them look good.
Yes, 100% of stats can be made to say whatever we want. Yes.
Yes.
All right, so let me see how.
All right, well, you're looking that up. I'll answer the point. What was the question again?
Foles to the Jags. 4-year deal. They paid him a lot of money.
Yeah, I think that's – I think that it was a little ridiculous. I think they could have taken Derek Carr or, like you said, Rosen. I mean, Rosen's not a win-now quarterback, so that wouldn't have made sense. But I think they could have done something with Derek Carr, with that team. I think that's way too much money to spend. And there was a funny article. It says Giants dashed hopes due to Tom Coughlin steps in and ruins Giants' dreams. It wasn't the Giants' dream to get Foles. I don't think anyone he's the same player as Eli Manning with a slightly higher upside. So I think they're moronic. Hopefully, I got Leonard Fournette as a keeper in my keeper league. I hope that it somehow does work for them. But, I mean, other than that one season where, what did he have, 27 touchdowns and 2 interceptions, and then his 2 runs through the playoffs, he really hasn't shown any type of, consistency, and that's an issue. So I think giving somebody it was $88 million, that was the number?
Yeah, it was in the 80s. It was a lot of money.
You really want his last 3 games? Because one of them was against the Giants. He threw for 400 yards. You really want this? That's really what you want to base it on, his last 3 games?
I do. I want the last 3 games.
He threw the ball had to throw the ball 35 times in that game. It's not even
All right, what about the other 2 games? Because you just say it. You'd spell it out if it wasn't the 3 games.
I don't see the actual attempts. Where's the attempts? For some reason, it doesn't show the attempts. Oh,
they don't show single number stats, so that must be the issue because he only threw 9 times.
We're still on this topic. That's the most incredible part.
He threw 44 attempts against the Giants week 17. He threw against the week before. I can't believe we're still talking about 48 attempts. Oh, no, I'm sorry. That's Jameson. 25 attempts the week before.
Ooh. Did I say 24? All right. What else? What's the next one? That's the tiebreaker.
You said 18.
I said 18 to 24.
The numbers were 45 and 24, the last 2 numbers. So what are you talking about?
I said 18 to 24. What are you talking about?
Are you turning into Ray?
No, I said 18 to 24.
18 to 24. So 20. And then it was 39 the week before that.
All right, so there. He proved me wrong. I picked the wrong end. But either way, next topic.
There's absolutely 0 chance that any views that we get go 100% through the whole video.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Especially that argument. Stop arguing on stupid stats, Lee.
That was awful.
It was awful, but he's arguing on stupid stats.
All right. All right, the final signing I want to talk about. We talked about this a little bit earlier. Was Eric Weddle of the Rams? I thought that was a huge deal for them. Best signing.
How much did he sign for? How much you got?
Nothing.
I don't.
Look up the deal again. $6.25 million. It's only actually $5 million, but there's some incentives. Yeah. For 2 years. It's a 2-year.
How do incentives impact the cap?
If you hit them, they go on the cap. So you have to kind of account for them. But
they could happen. Okay.
He's gonna get the 6 point. He's gonna get the whole. But it doesn't matter. It's $6.25 million or something like that for 2 years.
Does it impact dead money? Because I don't.
He's worth at least $10 million a year.
Oh, easily. I mean, he's. You'll see this year with the Ravens, especially the Ravens are going to lose Terrell Suggs too, who said he's going to leave.
They lost
and Mosley.
He already agreed to sign with Arizona.
So did.
Oh, he already did. Oh, yeah. That's interesting too. I mean, they're going to be terrible, so that's not really going to impact.
He played college over there, so.
Yeah, he did. He played at Arizona State, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're going to see
they lost him.
Yeah.
They lost Weddle. They lost someone on each layer of their defense.
Did they lose a cornerback too?
Did they? Did they lose Jimmy Smith? I don't think they did.
I don't think that they
Not
did.
Jimmy Smith. I thought it was another guy.
But you'll see the impact of them losing Weddle in that secondary because he's second to none type of safety. I think he's easily a top 5 safety. Wherever he's played, he locks down and commands the secondary.
Did the Rams bring back? They brought back Sue, right?
I don't think that they've confirmed that yet.
No, Sue's still free agent.
He's still a free agent, yeah.
My nephew just texted me saying that Earl Thomas is going to the Browns, but it still says likely to go to the Browns. It does not say he's.
That's another interesting one. But let's talk about that scenario real quick. Let's say the Browns get Earl Thomas. Are they favored to win the division?
Yes.
What do you think they're over or under for, or how do you think Vegas is going to look at their over under for the season for wins?
Probably 9, 8.5, 9.
Yeah, I mean, if it's 9, that's pretty impressive and interesting from their standpoint because Steelers are. I don't know how much of a hit the Steelers are going to take. I definitely think the Ravens aren't going to be nearly as good. They're not going to be able to ride that Lamar Jackson train as much next year because losing all these guys on defense, they're not going to be able to play that type of game again. I mean, it's going to be difficult for them to do it. I don't see them having as much success, and they only had 9 wins last year. Steelers are taking a step back, obviously, without AB. I think it honestly is the Browns' division to lose. I mean, Dutchman, how do you feel about that?
The Jets is 6 right now. As of right this moment, Cleveland Browns is 7.5 over under.
But that's before.
This is before the free agents.
Before the Odell trade, yeah.
All that, yeah.
Yeah, so it could be around 8.5 wins as the over
9 even, yeah, more.
Yeah.
Interesting. So what was your question? Sorry.
No, I threw it to Dutchman. If he has any other comments on the Browns.
It's a video game team. I mean, that's what it comes down to. I mean, I'm a little concerned. I'm a little concerned for them that they're looking at too many gaudy names, like pretty much what the Giants did. Think about their skill players last year were pretty. It was impressive with Evan Ingram, with the 2 wide receivers, and obviously with Saquon, and yet they didn't have any structure, so they didn't have a line. That's an issue, and the fact that they got rid of Zeitler and
but this guy can move.
What?
This guy can move around, though, this kid.
Yeah, well, I get that they can live with that, but he's still a second-year quarterback. So I just get a little concerned that they're getting too excited about all these skill players, and they're going to have, people coming, I think their center's pretty good, right? Isn't he – what's his name?
But just that jump, I'm not sure.
When the Giants got Zeitler, they were showing a lot of how they were able to, I forget what it was. I don't think it was stunts, but they were showing how well that they transitioned as a line. Where if 2 guys quickly split,
pass the stunts.
What?
Yeah, passing off the stunts.
Yeah, it was like amazing. They didn't even flinch when it happened. They picked up the guy.
CJ Treader. Yeah, he was a free agent they signed from Green Bay last year.
Gotcha. But yeah, I mean, so I think that they could.
They have a good line though, Lee. They have a good left tackle, Greg Robinson.
Even without Zeitler, I know they had a guy that was going to step in, so he was almost like they had a guy in waiting. That's what they said about trading Zeitler.
Maybe that's Earl Warford. Austin Corbett played a lot of games for them too, but they have another stuff, and he's their backup. So that's probably.
I can't remember the guys, but they said they literally had somebody they wanted to put into the starting lineup. So it was almost like
I think their team is going to be really good.
I mean, they have a ton of talent.
They have Landry, Odell, Njoku.
Landry and Odell.
And that kid, Antonio Galloway, was really good last year.
Galloway's solid. Yeah, he's a good player. And then they got Chubb and Duke Johnson. They got a lot of explosiveness on offense. And they also, they gave away Zeitler, but they got Vernon too. They got Vernon and Chubb now, on the defensive line. That's nothing really to sneeze at. And they were already –
No, not Chubb. They have Myles Garrett.
Oh, Myles Garrett.
Emmanuel Ogba. And now also – they got Vernon as well.
So. Yeah. I mean, they were one of those teams that they were close. They played several close games that they're one of those teams that just didn't know how to win yet. They're a pretty young team. They fired their coach midseason. So I think who's
their coach now?
They got a lot to build on.
Freddie Kitchens. He's funny. There's a really funny video of him and the quarterback. What's his name? Damn, I forgot his name.
Baker Mayfield?
Yeah. It's a really funny quote. I got to pull it up. I'll find it. Freddie.
You know him as the kid that likes to run around.
Yeah.
And does his dances.
I shouldn't be doing this right now. Showing you guys a funny video. I'll do it later.
Yeah. But I think we're gonna wrap up now. There's a lot of stuff that's been happening in the NFL. I'm still kind of pissed off with what the Giants have done. They've made trades that are questionable. They haven't signed a guy like Landon Collins. I don't know where they're going, honestly. I don't know what to expect this year. I have zero expectations.
Yeah, but think about it. The Browns, think about Browns fans over the last 2 years. They would probably, obviously, they love the Baker Mayfield, but some of the decisions they've made over the last several years, and look, their team, it's not just the decision they made in the last 2 years, it's the last 3 to 4 years that has set them up in this situation, both from a cap space, but also some of the guys that are in their second and third year who are finally – performing as first-round players.
You're saying they turned it around pretty quickly is what you're
Yes.
getting, right? Okay.
So, I mean, we might be hating this right now, but, I mean, I think I'm pissed. I'm more pissed than I think about the Odell than you are because it pretty much means they're booting the season, and I don't think either of us wanted that. But at the end of the day, a first-round and third-round, let's see what they do at quarterback. Now, if they just go with Dwayne Haskins, I'm just going to sit here and go. Now, if they do a Rosen –
I don't think that's a terrible –
But if they go with Rosen or Derek Carr – and I know I'm not really enthralled about Derek Carr. Yeah, but they could get Derek Carr for like a fifth rounder at this point.
I don't think so.
You don't think so? They want to dump his salary.
I'll give my second round right now for Derek Carr. And that's only because I don't have a first.
Yeah, but I think Gruden is completely – he just wants him off the team.
Unless
he won't just give him away, though.
Unless
fifth-round pick, that's crazy.
Yeah, have you seen some of the other stuff Gruden's done?
A fifth-round pick?
I don't think you're going to –
I'm exaggerating. Third to fifth round pick. I don't think it's gonna be a first round or a second round.
I don't know. I think it'll be more than that.
Because didn't he sign like a what was his extension?
He's expensive, but all quarterbacks are expensive. They're gonna. I mean, Nick Foles got $22 million.
Dak Prescott. What's the deal with Prescott? Did
they have not
nothing yet
pulled the trigger yet, but it's gonna be a big contract.
They're gonna pay him a big contract, and then they're gonna have no money to pay the other guys.
Bro, I mean. It's so funny. Like, so much money goes wasted. You guys are literally wasting $16 million for Odell.
Ray, they're bringing Romo back. They already brought back one. They're going to bring back the other, and then they can still room together.
I think, actually, Martellus Bennett actually might come back. They said. Saw that?
Oh, I did see that.
Who?
Martellus Bennett. He said he was telling Witten
that. He had to play with his brother.
No, he said he was going to come back to the Cowboys.
He said he wants it. No, didn't the Patriots bring him back? I thought they did.
No, he wants to play for the Patriots because they got Michael Bennett. They traded for Michael Bennett.
Yeah, but I thought that he did come back. I saw something. Anthony, look it up. I thought they brought him back. I thought I saw an article on that yesterday.
You mean officially? I don't think so.
I thought I saw something saying that they were bringing. He was coming out of retirement.
Yeah, no, wants to come out of retirement. Yeah, he was saying. But he also said it about when Witten came back. He was just making a joke. He was in the weight room. He was lifting, and he said that he was. You said we're going to wrap it.
I've been trying to. You guys keep going on.
Lee keeps trying to argue with me on stuff, though.
I wasn't arguing. What are you talking about?
All right, so yeah, we'll wrap it up here. I'm still upset. I'm still upset about like what the Giants have done. Like I said, they're not going to be that good next year. I have like zero expectations. But we'll be back with episode 5. We'll either do it before or after the draft. We'll talk about potential landing spots for guys or where they did land.
Huge range right there. We'll either do it before or after, maybe this year. Winter's coming.
Well, winter.
By 2020, we'll probably get another podcast in.
Yeah, we got one in. All right,
we will soon. But that's a wrap for episode 4. Thanks for hanging out with us. We'll see you guys next time.
Take care, guys.